I want to welcome everybody. And I want to introduce everyone to Nikki Hillhouse. She's got an amazing story. Her journey has been, I don't think I've ever heard anything like this before. So I'm excited for everybody to meet her and how she has overcome everything she's been through for the past, I don't know, 15, 20 years, I would say. So welcome to Trauma Rock Stars, Nikki. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Tracy. It's wonderful to be here.
Of course. And, when we talked and you were telling me what happened to you, I was kind of speechless. I mean, because you just don't expect things like this to happen, especially to the magnitude of what happened with you. So, do you want to just talk a little bit about your story and what led up to what had happened with your doctor?
Yeah, of course. Sure. I'm 57 now, 57 years young, shall we say. I
Yes.
was 31. I went to the doctor because I was struggling with a little bit of neck pain and headache. And the doctor said, take some, in the UK, it's called paracetamol. Is it Tylenol or something?
Tylenol.
Yeah, something like that. It'll ease off. He said you've basically, he called it a torticollis of the neck. You've twisted
Hmm.
it quickly. It'll be fine in a few days. So yeah, went to work, did all my usual things, and it was just not getting any better. And a friend of mine who was seeing an osteopath for his back pain said, "Why don't you come along?" And this was probably about 3 days after seeing the doctor. He said, "Why don't you come along and come and have a word and have an appointment?" And so we scheduled all that. So I went along and had an appointment and answered the questions, got down on the treatment couch. And I was in a lot of pain anyway with my head and neck, but she was pushing down a lot on the top of my head and it was excruciating. The tears were coming because it was so painful. And I was just thinking, well, no pain, no gain. She knows what she's doing. I'm going to trust, I was brought up to trust people in white coats, trust the professionals. And it was just really a lot. And I was in a lot of pain when I went home. And that evening, the pain was just not subsiding at all. And I couldn't sleep. So the following morning, I ran a bath because I thought, it's that thing, isn't it? It's that comfort thing. Run a bubble bath. See if I can just
Yeah.
hook myself back in my shoulders, my headache, like this. I'd probably been in the bath, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes. And the other word to describe it is I suffered a deep brain stroke in the bath.
And you were alone, right?
I was alone, yes.
Yeah.
My ex-husband at the time was in the military, so he was serving in Bosnia. And my son was a teenager and he was rollerblading and out with
Being
his
a
mates.
teen.
Yeah, it was a Saturday morning about 11 a.m., as you do. And so I was just like stuck in this bath going, what the hell's going on? And I couldn't move the right side of my arm, couldn't move the right side of my body. My breath was getting shallow. I was finding it hard to, verbalize, trying to get words out. And I remember reaching over, trying to unplug the bath. I couldn't reach over to unplug the stopper in the bath to drain the bath to get out. I couldn't get out anyway. I sat there for, I don't know how long it was, but I know I was really cold. I was shivering because the water had become so cold. But I don't know how I did it. I managed to sort of push myself up on the other side and swing myself over and sort of onto the toilet seat and onto the floor in a way. And then I sort of half crawled to the bedroom where there was a telephone. And I didn't phone an ambulance. I don't know why I didn't. I phoned a friend and I just said, I don't know what's going on, but and I think he could tell something wasn't right because my words were slurring and I wasn't making much sense. So yes, that was the beginning of my, let's just say, a very profound wake-up call.
You were just so the audience listening, you went to a chiropractor to have an
I went
adjustment,
to an osteopath. It was an
an
osteopath.
osteo
Yeah.
okay, and to adjust and manipulate the pain in your neck of some sort.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what to expect. She was like manipulating away and pushing on my skull and things like this. And what I do know now is the maneuver that she performed was called a high velocity thrust, and you're not allowed to do it anymore. And it's a bit like
Mm.
having Jenga, the game Jenga,
Yeah.
and you push it through and they'll still be staying. So she was trying to manipulate, push through something on the vertebrae, the neck. And what she actually did was she punctured the main artery as she'd done that. And because I had inflammation in the neck, because of the neck pain, that was already sort of swollen with like the inflammation, it wasn't something that she should have done. Well, I didn't know that because I didn't know what she was doing, so, but I do know that it's illegal now for chiropractors and osteopaths to do that maneuver. Mm.
And it caused you to have a stroke.
Yeah, it's called a vertebral artery dissection that I had. Yes.
So you call a friend. Yeah, I don't know how you were able to do that. Did your friend come over or did they call 911 for you?
My friend came over, and what had actually happened was, the funny thing is I've literally just written my book, which is about to be published, and I'm reminded of like the whole going through the whole scenario again. And I needed the bathroom. And I'm sitting half naked on this bed, going, freezing, going, I need to get to the toilet. I need a wee. So I managed to sort of stumble, hold on to the walls and get myself back. I was very dizzy, disorientated. And I got back to the bathroom and managed to go in there to the toilet. Yeah, it was, I think it's just a natural instinct, isn't it? You need the toilet. And I was just sort of swaying around and I managed to find my bearings to get back to the bathroom. Yeah.
And then you ended up being admitted and you were in the hospital for weeks, correct?
I was probably in there for about 2 or 3 weeks. I don't think it was too long. I think it was about 2.5 weeks, about 2.5 weeks I
Mhm.
was in there. Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, I know we're so much more advanced now than we were when this happened. We know so much more now, but you were kind of like treated in a clinic, weren't you? They never
Yeah.
really got down to the root of the problem initially, right?
I was basically sent out of hospital. Nobody would touch me. No physiotherapy would touch me because
Mhm.
they were too frightened to, because they found out, they were never allowed to say what had actually happened. But,
Right.
the notes that were going back, what had happened previously, because even the consultant said to me, what's been going on? And when I mentioned I went to an osteopath and his eyes just widened like, what? And this was like 18 hours previously. And you could see him just putting the puzzle pieces together. And I was like,
Mhm.
no, tell me that treatment has caused me to be sitting in this bed right now or laid in this bed. But I was just, I think because I was quite young, I was
Yeah.
starting to heal quite, to the extent that they were like, okay, you can go home now. But I had so much pain and there was nobody to help me with physio, to do the exercises. I
Yeah.
was basically told to do it on my own because no one would want to touch me. This was the thing,
Yeah.
because of legal things, we're too frightened to.
So, when did you start to heal yourself? Because I know that you were in pain for a long time.
Um,
15 years, wasn't it?
I spent 15 years in and out the pain clinic, and I just want to say to everyone listening now, I still live with pain. I just deal with it I calmly coexist with it. It's obviously nothing compared to how it was then. But I spent 15 years going to doctors who didn't know what to do with me. So then I got referred onto pain clinics, and I always remember being called the complex case. It
Mhm.
was like, she comes a complex case. And I was just treated like a guinea pig. Another drug, another drug, another drug, another drug. That doesn't
Yeah.
work. That doesn't work. And I remember one doctor saying, just because that tricyclic drug hasn't worked, we've got 13 other ones we can try you on. It's like, what? And yeah, and even the amount of morphine that I was taking, I was told, oh, patients climb Mount Kilimanjaro, you're absolutely fine driving a car and going to work and doing all this. And I was like, what? Yeah, it got to 50, it was 15 years, and I just got to a stage that I didn't recognize myself. I did not recognize the woman in the mirror. I
Mhm.
thought, who am I? And I spent weekends in bed. I was working as an auxiliary nurse in the hospitals. And after my shifts, I spent the weekend in bed taking more and more pain relief. I didn't go out. Every time friends asked me to go out or parties or weddings or invitations, I was just depleted. I had nothing
Yeah.
left. My
And you
confidence
work in
went.
healthcare.
Yeah, and I worked in healthcare. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just, yeah, my sort of pivotal moment, shall we say, I was sitting in the bed one morning and my usual routine was all my pills on the side table. My
Mhm.
partner would bring me in a cup of coffee and I'd heat my heat cushion up for my neck and I'd take all the pills. And I knew it'd take about 40 minutes for everything to kick in. And I used to have my little mirror there in my makeup bag and I'd put my face on for the day and wait for the pills to kick in. And I remember closing my eyes, I was just doing some breathing. I just thought, I can't do this. I just can't do this anymore. If it means I've got to check out of this world, then because I've had enough. I had nothing left to give.
Yeah.
Nothing left to give. And it was in probably within about a couple of moments, I sort of heard and saw the word power. And I can't really explain it. It wasn't like I was hearing voices, it was in my mind's eye. Power.
Mhm.
And I was like, what the hell? Power? Because I did not feel powerful at all. And I
Yeah.
sat with it for a while and my tablets kicked in and I drank my cup of coffee. I just sat there for quite a while and I was trying to meditate and do a bit of breath work. And it just sort of came to me like they say the light bulb moment. It was like that. And I went, that's what you've got to do. You need to take your power back. You've been giving your power away to these doctors and hospitals and clinics for all these years.
Mm.
You need to take care of yourself and find another way to heal. And that's when I went on my own health and wellness holistic journey, shall we call it?
Yeah. Did you you had to during this whole time felt I mean, I'm trying to be the devil's advocate here because I too work in healthcare as well, but I think the doctor's intentions are they do want to help you, but
Oops.
you had to have felt gaslit a lot too by them. It's just another pill, another pill. Like nobody was kind of taking the bull by the horns and saying, let's get to the root of the problem and help you.
I just felt like I was like, who's next? Clipboard, right? Patient so and
Yeah.
so, right? What are we taking? What are we doing now? What are we taking now? Right, cut doesn't work. Let's try another one. And I remember for so long asking if I could speak to like a psychologist or a counselor or someone. And they were saying, but why? And I was like, well, surely my mental health must be affected by everything that's going on. And I remember when I went in, I eventually got to see some lady that was there. And I still remember her to this day. And I went in and, she was doing the SUD scale. If anyone doesn't know what SUD scale is, you're marking you scale of 0 to 10.
Yeah.
You understand, Tracy, yeah, what it all means. How are you feeling? How's your week been? And are you feeling low, stress, things like this. So I'd filled it all in. And then she looked at me and she said, well, you look absolutely fine. She says, I don't think you need any treatment. You look absolutely fine. I'm like, it's okay. You're okay. What's the matter? Let's see what's going on. I know. Yeah. And I had that was a pattern for me all the time. No one would listen to what I had to say. There was never any other, if I ever talked about acupuncture or meditation or yoga or anything, it sort of got poo pooed because way back then
Yeah.
it wasn't, and mindfulness and stuff, it was all like, what? It's a bit woo woo. Yeah. It was almost being like, I felt like I was being dismissed. Yeah. Gaslit.
Yes.
Dismissed. Yeah. Definitely.
And I know when you were telling me about this, I know you said like you never pressed charges or anything against the doctor or anything like that, right?
Yeah, because it was an osteopath and it was very difficult to, they said if that was a doctor, it'd be a bit easier. You could sue and things like this. And it started to get quite complicated,
Hmm.
and I just thought, well, no amount of like money or some sort of compensation is going to take back what happened to me. So I went on my own journey of like forgiveness as well, because I think when you hang on to bitterness and anger, and the
Yeah.
forgiveness part is you need to forgive so it's not forgiving the other person, it's forgiving yourself as well for the part that you played in it.
Right.
Because if I hadn't gone there that day, that wouldn't have happened, and I wouldn't be sitting here talking about it now. So we have to take responsibility for our actions as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I told you when we were talking before, but the last time I was and here it was a chiropractor. It wasn't an osteopath, but it was a chiropractor. And I always used to love going to get adjusted and my back and everything. Well, he adjusted me and he was a very large man. So him adjusting me, it didn't take much for him to adjust me. And when I went and got an adjustment, I knew something felt wrong the second that he adjusted my neck. I ended up having one of the worst ear infections of my entire life. It triggered a horrible, horrible inner ear infection.
Yeah,
And
it's telling me this. Yeah.
yeah, and it was awful. It lasted for weeks. It was awful. And I went to the doctor, got on medication, everything. And I've been doing so much more research since then. And it's very dangerous to let them adjust your neck. It's like even orthopedic doctors will say, let them adjust your spine. Let them get your spine aligned and everything, but don't let them touch your neck. And I will never, ever let them touch my neck again, ever. And, what would and I know there's people out there that, I'm not saying all this is all, all osteos or all
Just get it
chiropractors.
done.
Our experience that you and I just went through yours was much, much 1,000 times worse than mine. But when you got that information to take your power back, when that came to you, so what when you let that marinate, and you're probably like, "Where do I start?" Like, where did you start with it?
I literally became a detective and I went down the rabbit hole of nutrition was the first thing I did. I started to look at an alkaline diet because I knew that the pain I was having in my body was caused through inflammation. And I
Okay.
thought if I could implement a diet that wasn't so acidic. So the first thing I did was I bought a juice machine and
Mm,
I juiced and I became vegan for about a year.
okay.
And I cut out meat and sugar and everything. And I just you know, I just did what I could. It
Yep.
was like taking the first steps. And then just different modalities. I went to acupuncture. Acupuncture was just amazing for me as well. Yoga, started doing some really gentle yoga. So it was implementing all these, and I'd always been interested in holistic, treatments.
Mhm.
But because I was so almost indoctrinated into the system, that I went along with everything that was like, take this pill, take that pill, this will be fine, this will be fine. Before you know
Yeah.
it, it snowballs and snowballs. So it was really just looking at my body as a whole. It's in like, this is the physical part of me, but there's a mind, body, and spirit. So I need to nurture my well-being through the way of my emotions. Let's see what's going on up here. Let's heal all the internal wounds, all the trauma. Let's do all that along with the healthy eating and acupuncture, EFT and everything. Yeah, that was my
Mhm.
first sort of. Mhm.
It had to have been very overwhelming because you really don't know where to start, and we put so much trust in medical professionals, but again, they don't have all the answers, and as you know, they can actually make things worse, and I say all the time, you have to be your own advocate, but when you're in so much pain, how did you find that strength? Because you can't think straight. I'm sure you weren't sleeping, which when you don't get quality sleep, it affects everything in your life. How did you find the day-to-day strength? Was it just baby steps?
It was literally baby steps. It was baby steps because I remember when I used to come in from a shift at the hospital and I remember my son saying to me, Mum, why do you have to have a drink of brandy every night? And that was my go-to, like, I have to have my pills and my brandy, everything to just numb it, just to
Yeah.
see if I could get a couple of hours sleep. And I knew it wasn't doing me any good. Of course it wasn't, but I knew that that was the only way I was going to get a few hours sleep. It was baby steps, one step at a time. And every time I was like taking steps forward, I felt like I was going backwards
Mm,
because it's I think when I made that decision, I thought, right, there's no going back on this now. I knew it wasn't going to be overnight. I knew it would
right.
take a while. It took me about 5 years, I think, 5, 6 years altogether to wean off all my meds. And I did it myself. I didn't have any medical help. I didn't have anybody help me.
Mhm.
I just did it very, very, very slowly, very, very slowly.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you got the side effects from coming off all the meds as well. And I don't know. I just think I think I knew that I deserved a quality of life, whatever that meant, had to be
Mhm.
better. I suppose I looked at it like this: if I'm living with pain, and this is what's happened now. This is my purpose. This is my soul contract. This was maybe meant to happen to me. Who knows? Maybe I can still live in this body and have quite a good life and be quite comfortable without all the pills, without all the
Mhm.
doctors, without all the interventions. Yeah, and I think my confidence started to grow. As soon as I think morphine was the first drug that I weaned off slowly. I started to get a bit more confidence and I started to go out again. I started to look in the mirror and like what I looked. I was like, oh, I started to sort of, it was all about growth. And I started to rediscover myself. And it was all about changing my relationship with my body because I was
Mhm.
kept looking at it as broken and defeated me, and it was this and it was that. And when I started to nurture it and care for it and say, "You're amazing, body. You've had my back this whole time. Thank you," and be appreciative and be grateful. And
Mhm.
gratitude was a big thing. That was a big thing every day, having my gratitude moments and writing it down.
Mhm.
Yeah, because we do when something's not working right in our body, what's the first thing we do? We bereft it. We have a go at it. And then,
Yeah.
so I did the opposite. I befriended it. I started to befriend my body and change my relationship with it. How you would with a
Yeah.
friend or, you know, be your best friend sort of thing. Yeah.
Maybe concentrate more on the things that are working. And, it's so funny you're mentioning gratitude because just, yesterday I was taking my dog for a walk just around the neighborhood. And I was just like, thank you for these legs that I'm able to walk him. and walk down the street. And it's just those simple little things. And when you started taking this back, I've got an interesting question for you. And weaning yourself all of those meds, it obviously takes a lot of time. Do you think juicing helped you with that? Because I know juicing is so important with like getting the heavy metals out of your body and everything, which is loaded in medications.
Yeah, definitely, because I actually went to a juice detox retreat, and that's when I
Oh,
first started to wean off. And I actually went along to one anyway, because I started with meditation was like
yeah.
a big thing for me. And I went along to this retreat with my mentor at the time, and who was hosting the retreat. And it was a juice retreat, and it was hardcore. It was full on hardcore. And I remember one of the doctors saying to me, your body's going to take time, your liver, it needs time to process. And I really struggled, and I was really mentally and physically like in a bad way because I was detoxing off the tablets. I was still on other stuff at the time, but my liver and my kidneys, everything needed time to whew, completely get
Mhm,
flushed out because
mhm.
think of all that poison, 15
Yeah.
years of all that poison put into my body. It was just,
How
so
long do you think it took before you were completely, like, cleansed out of it?
it's hard to say, isn't it? It's hard. I didn't really
Yeah.
I'm very much sort of in the present moment and I just go with the flow and see what happens. I'd probably say it was a good 5 years, with the juicing and
Altogether.
everything else and changing my diet. I went back to eating. Actually, it was that doctor that said to me at the juice retreat, he said, you can't be a vegan. He said, you need to start bringing a little bit of meat and a little bit of cheese into your diet because
Mhm,
he'd done all the tests on me and things. And he's saying, it's good what you're doing for a short period of time, but you now need to build your strength up and you need to eat a diet like X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
mhm. To
Mhm.
make sure you're getting enough protein and the dairy
Exactly.
that you
Exactly.
need, the calcium that's in the dairy.
Yeah.
It's funny 'cause, I follow the medical medium. Do you follow
Yeah.
Anthony
Yeah.
on Instagram? Yeah. And he's incredible, basically put celery juicing on the map, but it's so I never realized, and this is until recently, that everything you put in your mouth, every pill, aspirin, Tylenol, everything, prescription drug medication has to pass through your liver. And I don't think I ever, it obviously makes sense, but I don't think I ever really listened to that. And I'm so like, it's got to do permanent damage to your liver, especially when you're taking all these medications for so many years. And like you said, you had to detox yourself because you needed to clean out like those organs. And when I first realized that, like, now I'm like, can you give me a cream or a patch? Because I don't want to take any pills anymore because it all passes through your liver, any kind
Mhm.
of pill you take. And it's so scary what it does. You hear people that like they need these liver transplants, and they don't have cirrhosis, that they need a liver transplant. And it's like, okay, well, I wonder why.
And what did we do years ago before the pharmaceuticals came in? What do the shamans do? What do the plant medicine? What did they do? They didn't go into the local pharmacy and
Yeah.
grab a prescription and walk away with a bag of pills and take three a day and do this.
Hmm.
They looked at plants. They looked at
Hmm.
what Mother Nature was growing. And I think we are starting to come back to that again. But we can go right down a rabbit hole with that one, because our
Oh, I know.
soil's so
It-
depleted and, with our nutrients now and things like this. So it's,
well, and there's people like Anthony that can give more. We're so much more informed.
yes.
We're
Oh,
so much
yeah,
more
definitely.
informed now. Like, we have platforms like this that we can talk about. Do you still juice every day?
I had celery juice this morning.
Did you?
And I don't have anything else. I do a lot of fasting as well. I do a lot of fasting. And celery, if I have celery, I don't do every morning celery juice, but when I do celery juice, I don't have anything else for an hour. And I might have another juice, maybe like a beetroot and a carrot or something later.
Yeah.
And then later I'll have like food.
Mhm. I think it's good that people are listening to this because, when you're talking about your very first step was you just bought a juicer. You're like, I'm just gonna start with that. It's just a little tiny step in the right direction. And you were meditating. And and I basically every episode we talk about meditation on the
Mhm.
show. And I just want to tell people, and Nikki can back me on this. If you're looking for answers, you will get them if you meditate. The answers will come to you. It might take time, and you might not get all the answers that you need, but you will get answers through meditation. And are you still and actively meditating?
Yeah, I'm a meditation teacher.
Well, let's talk. I want to talk about what you're doing and what you are offering to the world. And I want to talk about your book because I know last we talked, you were writing a memoir. So let's tell the world, what you're doing to help out, to help all of us that have all these questions.
Everything, all the tools and techniques that I implemented into my journey, and I keep saying to people now, even I'm still on my journey. There's no end
Yeah.
to it.
We always
Every day
are.
I learn
Yeah.
things, always. So I teach meditation, breath work. I'm a trauma therapist coach. I run wellness retreats. I do a little bit of everything. I'm a writer. I'm a speaker. I have literally just put in my second draft for my memoir, which is due out in May. Because I want people to pick up my book and go, oh my goodness, there's hope for me. And it
Hmm.
doesn't mean that you've had a stroke or anything, major illness. How strong and gregarious we can be as people, if we can have hope and we can make our own choices and our own decisions, it all comes back to being proactive and making your own choices and decisions, because that's where your power comes from. It's disempowering if you listen to do this, do this, do this. You can research things, you can listen to juice experts, and the social media everywhere now, isn't there? And what the best thing to do. But your body's so wise, it knows what to do. So back to
Hmm.
meditation, if you're quiet enough to listen to
Hmm.
that inner whisper. The
Hmm.
voice will be going, your mind will be going, the ego will be going, it'll be drifting off into stories and telling you what you've got to make for dinner tonight and all these different things.
Yeah, it
But if you
happens.
actually sit and listen, just listen and observe the thoughts as they're coming and they're going, this is where the clarity comes through. And it's just listen to these. When I say listen, I mean listen, really
Hmm.
listen to the inner whisper, because we all do it. Our intuition, we know what to do.
Hmm.
We've all got the key to help ourselves. It's only because we get distracted by outside influence and by all our stories and all our experiences that mount up and we get so conditioned to things that we forget to come back to who we truly are underneath all of those layers. So yes,
Yeah.
so I do all my coaching and all my stuff, and yeah, I'm just there to help to educate others to see there's a different way as well.
Yeah, and meditation's tough. Really, it's, even the best meditators in the world get frustrated. It's can be challenging. I'm finding when you don't try so hard and you ask like subconsciously, like, or just to slight whisper what you need or what you want, it'll come to you. But you have to not. I think the key is just really relaxing and not trying so hard, like, and not work because it's not going to come right away. It might. Some people might get a download of information immediately, which is wonderful. Good for you. But
And
that didn't happen with me. It took quite a while before I started getting some answers.
it's like consistency is key, isn't it? Like you wouldn't go to the gym, you wouldn't expect to pick up some dumbbells and have these like bulging biceps in 2 weeks' time, would you? You have to like build up a consistency, a pattern, a routine all the time. And meditation's not all about sitting in your lotus position and with your hand,
Exactly.
a bit of incense and everything. It could be walking, just
Yeah.
taking in the environment around you, just noticing nature,
Mhm.
washing the dishes up, having a shower,
There's
just
times that's all I've got time is in the shower to do a quick meditation. Yeah.
that's you're meditating there. You're just being in the moment, just being
Mhm.
open and just observing what's happening and just, and be mindful with it. Feel the soap on your skin and the water. Or if you're walking, just feel your feet on the floor and taking the smells around you. And if it's sunny, feel the sun.
Yeah.
That's all meditation as well.
It's living in the moment and the gratitude. I think it's like you said, like sometimes I only have time to in the shower. I've only got maybe a minute, but I'm
Mhm.
like, thank you for this warm water. Thank you for the water, period, that I have clean water to, It can be that simple to start because I don't want people to think like it's super overwhelming, but it can be frustrating. Like, how did you word it? Practice?
I'd say to people, you know, if someone's struggling right now and they're going, I've got nothing to be grateful for. My life is really, really bad at the moment. Focus, we hone in, we focus on what's not going right for us. We
Right.
don't tend to focus on what's going well. And if someone says, well, there's nothing going well for me right now, and you'd be like, have you got a roof over your head? Have you got food in the fridge? And I know it's the most basic things. That's just like being grateful for that. And I would say, you know, to get just maybe 5 minutes a day of meditation, just take yourself somewhere to wherever you are in the house, or, you know, to a park if you're outside, and just sit and be with yourself. A lot of people are uncomfortable. They get really uncomfortable, you know, with their own sensations and their own feelings because sometimes we don't like what comes up. The
Hmm.
only way we heal ourselves, we've heard it before so many times, is you need to feel it to heal it. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's very uncomfortable, but you need to
Right.
allow the sensations, the emotions, everything to move through you because it's just energy and motion. Just allow the thoughts to come, the emotions to come. And yeah, and then just move on with your day. You don't have to like fixate on, I've got to do this for 30, 40 minutes. It's just 5 minutes.
Right. Right.
Everyone's got 5 minutes. Everyone. If you say you've not got 5 minutes, then, you know,
Yeah, there's sometimes in the morning I'll wake up and I'll just meditate in bed. You don't like you said, you don't have to be in a perfect sitting position. There's no rules. Like you make the rules for
yeah,
what works for you.
yeah.
And just start. Just start.
Just start, and even like you say, when you get up in the morning, before you actually get up in the morning, just focus on your breath. Just
Mhm.
listen to the sound of your breath as it comes and it goes. Just pay attention to where your body's, your hands, your feet on the mattress, everything. That's all meditative as well. You know, just paying attention to your being in your body. Meditation's all about being in your body. When you're getting caught up in busy mind and thoughts, you're up in this thing.
Mhm.
And the whole point is to get back down into this, tuning in back into your body.
Yeah, it's so funny because I'm at the point now I can literally lower my blood pressure just with my breath work.
Hmm.
I can do a before and after, take my pressure, do before and then do my breath work, and it'll be drastically down. And I'm able to do that. Like I've even talked to my doctor about it. They're like, I wish more people and anybody that's listening to this, we're not telling you to stop taking your medications. There are certain medications that people need to survive. Blood
Absolutely.
pressure is one of them. There are certain medications that you do need certain things to survive if you're, diabetic and things like that. But think about, to be your own advocate, have conversations with your doctor, let him know what your goals are. If your goals are you want to get on as few meds as possible, then you got to have a frame of mind like your doctors, whether you're seeing a naturopathic provider, osteo, MD, whatever. They work for you. Even though there are these really smart people, they went to medical school, they've got this initiative, they end at the end of the day work for you. So you come up with a plan with them that works. Like you need to drive the bus for what your goals are. And if they can't meet you halfway with that and be on board with you, then you need to find somebody who will.
Yeah.
But it's so, I've worked with physicians, my whole career and stuff. And you have to realize, I think people go in there and think, well, they're the boss, they're in charge, whatever they say goes. But no, you are actually in charge of your own life and your own body. And you need to come up with a plan. And if they're not willing to work with you with your goals and have something that makes sense, then you need to find somebody who will. And there are people out there who will.
Because it's your body at the end of the day, isn't it? And you make the decisions. It's very disempowering if you go away with a prescription and you're told you've got X, Y, and Z. I mean, I'm all about mind-body connection.
Yes.
Someone's gone to the doctors and they're like, oh yeah, yeah, you've got those pains, you've got arthritis. That's what it is. You're at an age, you've got arthritis. You've just been given a label for a collection of symptoms. You've not been told how you're going to get to the root of that. You know, you're
Right.
at a certain age, this is what's happening now, this is what's going on in the body. But nobody ever asks, but why? Why is my body creating these symptoms in the first place? Your body's not against you. Your body will work in harmony if you're putting the right fuel in it, if your thoughts that you're thinking, the people you hang around with. It's everything. It plays a massive part in your whole lifestyle, everything. So you have to be willing to like, yeah, participate in it in the way of going, I don't know about this. Do you know what? Let me just go away and do a little bit of research. Let me just see if I can. I mean, doctors should say, well, you can't do juicing, you can't do this, this, and this. This is not going to help with cholesterol. This is not going to help with that. I had one doctor, actually, I remember this in Oxfordshire where I lived a few years ago, quite a few years ago, and my cholesterol was high, a little bit high, and he wanted to put me on
Yeah.
statins, which I refused. And his
Hmm.
actual words were, it's because of your age and you can eat whatever you want. Don't worry, you can have cream, you can have cakes, you can have whatever you want, just take these tablets. And I was like, are you for real? Are you really for real? And because they were like, and I thought, no, 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 I am not going to listen to that. I am not going to take,
Right.
because you're just seeing me as a statistic. You have now turned 50. Yes, your cholesterol's a bit high. That's normal for your age. And what you need to do is now take these drugs and you can just eat and drink whatever you want. And I just thought, some people will do that because it's like they think it's a quick fix.
Right.
You're putting a band-aid on. You're not getting to what's under it. It's almost
Hmm.
like cutting the top of the weeds. You're cutting the
Yeah.
tops off. You're not actually getting the weeds up, are you? So we need to get down, dig deep down to those weeds, to the root, and figure out how are we going to resolve this? Yeah.
Do you have days now where the pain, because I know you said you're always in pain, the pain's worse than others. Like, does the weather contribute to that?
Weather, or if I'm going through a stressful time, I'm
Stress?
very in tune with my body and I know when something's not right. Like I lost my dad a few months ago and I know grief is all about the lungs and all these different things. And when I say to people, they're like, oh, your hip, I've got hip pain. I said, that's all. Do you feel like you're not progressing forward in life? What? Back pain, lower back pain is all about not being supported. Knees are about support. So I tend to look at all that. So if I'm having quite a sort of a bit of a pain flare up, I'm like, right, what's going on for me right now? And I will
Hmm.
journal and
Yeah.
I'll ask myself the questions, right? What's going on? And then I can sort of like pick it apart and go, you have been quite through stressful stuff. Like there's all this stuff going on in your life. You're doing all this. Your mind and body, they're just working in sync with each other, being overstressed. So what it's doing, it's creating these symptoms in the body and it's giving you some sensations. I like to call them sensations. Sensations to listen. The whole point is it's doing this so you will listen. I'm going to give you sensations because you're not sleeping very well at the minute or you've been overworking. You need to take care of yourself a bit more. So the body's always talking to you. So if you just sit down and listen to your body, ask it a few questions, it'll have the answer.
Right. It's funny you mentioned stress because stress is a huge part of it. And you also mentioned socially, who how has that helped you with your social interactions and who you choose to be around and who has access to you?
You want to be around people that lift you up, that
Mhm.
energies lift you up and they support you. When you're as I'd call a toxic environment, and you have even family members and friends that think they know better, and they can be quite condescending and judgmental, and they mean no harm by it. It's not good because we're energetic beings. It's not good for you to be around. Whereas, what is it like if you go into a room and there's friends and you have a lovely time and you feel good, don't you? If you go into a situation or even with family members, you come away feeling, oh, really
Right.
deflated and really, what do you think that's doing to your nervous system? It's not good, is
Mhm.
it? So
Right.
I think we say pick and choose your friends wisely because I think we go through stages in life that we meet people at a certain time in our life and sometimes we just have to drift away
Right.
because it's nice to be in a supportive environment and people that will lift you up and you lift them up as well because it's not nice to be surrounded by. Sometimes it's difficult, but you get to choose as well. You get to choose if, for instance, say someone's invited you to a party or a social occasion and you go, I don't really want to go. Listen to your body. If your body's going, no, whoa, I don't want to go to that, and you know that you're going to go there just because to keep somebody
Mhm.
happy. Now, what about your boundaries? Boundaries have to come into this. If you're talking about your mental, your physical, and your emotional well-being,
Yeah.
then you have to have boundaries. Yeah.
I think it took me a really long time to listen to your body's constantly giving you messages and cues, and it took me a really long time. And now pay attention. Even when the phone rings, whoever's calling you, does that make you happy or does it make you stressed? When you're in somebody's presence, like that energy that they're is it making you happy or are you crunching up? Are you getting tense? Like for years, we all do. We all are around people that cause us unnecessary stress, subconscious stress that is putting on our bodies that we don't even realize. And once you start paying attention to that, and like starting a whole new relationship with what your body's telling you, it's wild how quickly things start to shift.
Yeah, yeah, and you can be near people that maybe because we have people in our lives that press our buttons, but
Yep.
when you have the tools to go, aha, I know it's not me, it's them, and you can see that you're just attached. It's like conflict happens because you're attached to someone maybe saying something different to what you expected them to say. But
Yeah.
it's like no person, no place, no event has got any, you know, on how we feel. It's our mind will come up with the reason behind it. So we could, oh, it's because she said this and he does this and he does that. Well, that's just who they are. Can you let
Hmm.
that just bounce off you? Can you let that just sort of bounce off you and go, I'm not going to let that affect me because we let other people's work affect us and we take that into our energy field. And
Yep.
how many times has somebody said something and you go home and you're like, no, I don't agree with that. That's not good. That person's forgotten about it. They've moved on with something, but you're holding on to it. That you're holding on to that tension in the body because you didn't agree with what somebody said or did, and you need to let it
Hmm.
go. Let it go.
Yeah, it's so and once you get used to doing that, once you realize the impact it's having on you and that you take your power back, like you said, power, just really things start shifting naturally for you.
Mm. Yeah.
Do you like somebody if somebody's listening to this cuz I think it's going to resonate with there's so many people who have had it with healthcare, have had it with their providers, don't know where to start, want to shift and change in their life, but it just seems so overwhelming. It's just because there could be so many different layers depending on what's going on with somebody. Um, and they wanna reach out to you, Nikki, like, how would you start with somebody like that, that maybe they're just really lost? Maybe they don't even realize how lost they are. They just know that their life is off. It's not happening the way they want it to be lived.
I'd probably ask them, what's your why? Why do you want, if this is how you're living your life right now, why do you want to change it? Why do you want things to be different? What is it that you could implement? What can you do right now in this moment, today, within the next hour, that you could, something that you could do that you could start to change that? What's
Mhm.
one little thing, And things that get overlooked as well is things like we talked about gratitude, joy. People say, "What do you? What's joy? I haven't got time for all this. I've got time to look." If we start implementing, it's not always about coaching and therapy and everything else. It's taking these little things like how much water have you had to drink today? How much rest have you had? Have you had 5 minutes to yourself to put on your favorite song, have a bit of a dance, whatever you want to do? Had some of your favorite food. I eat chocolate, I eat cake, I don't
Oh, yeah.
deprive myself of things. And I would say to people when you're in that state of like, oh, I genuinely don't know how I'm gonna move forward. I just don't know how I'm gonna how do I even move forward? See yourself like you're sitting in a well, the wells that you have, a well, the water.
Yep.
And imagine you've got runs in that well. There's all these little ledges, little seats, and it goes all the way up to the top. Where do you want to see? So when you look up there, there's the light up there that you want to be out of that well, don't you? Want to be up there. There's the steps. There's a little rope, there's a little step, and you can just keep getting yourself up there to get to it. Or do you want to just keep sitting at the bottom? How much is your life worth that you want to get up and out of that well? And it's not happening I'm not saying go and do all these amazing, and you'll just be skipping through the daisies. It's not that. It's these
Right.
little things like I said, how much water are you drinking? What's your
Mhm.
diet like? And then a lot of people don't see that what they eat affects your mental health as well. If you're just eating
Mhm.
beige foods and carbohydrates all the time and you're not having fruit and vegetables, it really does affect your cells of your brain and how your mental health is. So there's lots of parts. First of all, I'd say, why? Why do you want to make a change? What's your dream? What's your goal? What's your dream? What's your desire? What's your heart's highest hope? What do you want more than anything else? And how do you think you're going to start to, move forward? Just one little thing that you could do right
Mhm.
now today that will help you to, because you've got to take action yourself. When I say this, I don't mean it in a flippant way. No one's coming to rescue you on a white charger.
Right.
It would be wonderful if someone's coming, they're coming to rescue me, to take me off to whatever land. It
Yeah.
doesn't work. We have got to be willing to put that work in ourselves. And it's not
Yes.
easy. It's not easy, but it's
Mhm.
worth it. We've got
Mhm.
to be willing to see that this is where I am here. This is where I'd like to be over here. Am I willing to take those steps? Am I going to keep looking in the rear view mirror because that takes my eyes off the path ahead? Or am I going to just keep moving forward? Every little step. My favorite song is Whitney Houston, Step by Step.
Yeah.
And I pop that on all the time. If I'm having a bit of a day, right, that goes on and I'm like this going step by step, bit by bit, day by day. Steps is how we get, you know, further.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
think that
it's
was a
really
very winded way of answering your
no, no, it
question.
makes total sense because it's very motivating to hear you describe it like that. Can you share with the listeners how they can get a hold of you? And I'll also include it all in in our show notes.
Yeah, you can contact me via my website or my email, and it's just under my name, Nikki Hillhouse. So nikkihillhouse.com or info@nikkihillhouse.com. So if you just Google my name, it'll come up and you can click on my website and my email address and everything will be on there. Yeah.
And the book is out when in May?
I think it's the 19th. I think we're planning on the ebook the 19th and the paperback the 2nd of June.
Wonderful. Oh, that's so and do you have the name of it yet? Can you share it?
Yes, it's called Beyond the Mirror from Stroke to Sovereign.
Beyond the Mirror.
Beyond the Mirror. Yeah.
Love
'Cause
it.
it's all about, who are we behind that mirror that we look in? And
Right.
when we first were chatting, Tracy, do you remember when I was saying about when I was sitting in bed, I didn't even recognize myself anymore, that
Yes.
person in that mirror?
Yes.
It's like, who are we beyond there's a little it's how people would, we all have a different way of, how we might perceive it, but who are you beyond that mirror? You're not just this hair and body and everything,
Right.
your real true self is a lot more than what you're looking at in that mirror. Yeah.
More than you even realize.
Yes. Yeah.
There's gonna be parts of you that you never even realized that was a part of you, and it's amazing because you're almost rediscovering yourself.
Yeah.
Nikki, this has been thank you so, so much for sharing your journey. And you are so comforting to talk to. And I think this is going to resonate with some people. So I hope they reach out to try and see if you could maybe help them along the way in their journey because there's nothing wrong. You don't have to do it alone. There's people like Nikki out there that can help you get past that. So don't be scared. Get the help. So that way, it'll help
Mhm.
because you can introduce things that they weren't even thinking of.
Yeah, and don't do it how I did it. I did it the hard way. That's why I'm so passionate about it because it's like
Yeah.
I I walk my talk. I've been there, I've
Yes.
done it, and I did it a very, very long way, and I didn't ask for help. I would
Right.
never reach out to anyone, because I think it was just my conditioning, the way we had strong women in the family. You get on with it, you're strong, and it's like, and when I did the work on myself and I could see the unhealthy beliefs around that, it's like, do you know what? It's okay to ask for help.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
okay
yeah, it
to say I'm
is.
struggling right now. Do you know what? I'm having a bad day. I just need someone to talk to.
Right.
And that's the only way that we heal is a
Mhm.
collective, and humanity is being together and helping one
Yeah.
another.
Well, thank you so much. You are a trauma rock star. I mean, you pulled yourself out of this, got your life back, you changed. You even said, you didn't even recognize yourself in the mirror at one point and you're back and you bring so much wisdom to all of us and inspiration. So thank you so much for sharing your journey.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
I know. And for everybody listening, please be your own advocate. Please listen, you're not alone. There's people out there that could help you. Reach out to Nikki. I want to hear where you are in your healing journey. Please comment below, so that way we can engage with you and talk to you and be there to support each other. That's why we're doing this. We're building this community. So thank you so much.
Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me, Tracy. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Nikki. The content on this podcast revolves around personal life experiences and is meant to serve as a learning tool. I am not a certified therapist or medical expert. This podcast doesn't offer medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're curious about your mental or physical well being, feel free to reach out to a licensed healthcare professional for assistance.